Hello everyone and welcome here to my archive channel. I'm doing a quick devlog because version 1.3.0 has a lot of new features. And I'm mainly addressing this first part of this video to all the veteran 1.16 runners that have gotten quite used to AA tool and thus don't feel like trying something new, trying some change. Because I believe, especially with Hermes, having the tracker automatically update even when the game isn't saving is huge. And I think that's reason enough to give it a try, because it makes the entire A experience even more smooth and exciting and refreshing, because it's basically, you don't have to do these stupid micro pauses to get the tracker to update. And I'll quickly show that right now. So if you first go onto releases, we'll kind of go through the release notes, and I'll show you guys immediately how you can get this layout or the beautiful layout that Zeskio made right here. This is the AA tool optimized layout, which I'm pretty sure that's what most of you guys are familiar with from AA tool, and we have that in Advancedly now. And all of this automatically updating without you having to pause or the game having to save is pretty awesome. So I'm trying to chase this dream where I really want to have the 1.16 All Advancements World Record happen with my tracker. That would be so freaking amazing. Anyways, you go into the release page and you can download whatever you need here. We have two Linux installers, the Linux portable, both macOS versions for Intel and ARM chips, so older and newer generations, and then we obviously have the Windows as well. So most of you might use Windows, so just download the zip, make an Advancedly folder, and extract it. It will look something like this once you extract it, just without, I guess, these files. Bam. That's how it will look once you extract it. Please read me has a few others notes here and there. Then we also have, the resources folder. This is really important. You need to have the resource folder right next to the Advancedly. You can obviously just create a shortcut. I'm here in German, but basically just creating a shortcut. And this shortcut you can drag wherever you want and it'll be fine. But the main Advancedly needs to be next to these DLL files and the resource folder. That's just how it works. And you can double click it and this will pop up. So this is only when you, for the first time, use Advancedly. I already have a Minecraft 1.16 world open, like your pretty goated spawn with a desert temple and village, blah, blah. And therefore it already tracks the Advancedly's cool world. This window right here tells you the basics. First of all, thank you for using Advancedly. And then you have, pan the view. So this is basically like a camera. You can pan it by holding right click and dragging. Zoom with the mouse, right? Then you can see these items are like rearranging, because this is the automatic layout. There's a manual and an automatic layout. You always start in the automatic layout, because all templates that work here first use the automatic layout, obviously. And then you can press spacebar or lock layout down here, and then it's all fixed. So you kind of want to, spacebar to obviously turn it off again. You kind of want to have all of these advancements with the criteria at the bottom, then you lock it, and then you can zoom in and out. And obviously through these lists, you just scroll, or you can use this little scroll bar there as well. Then obviously the lock layout I just explained. Open settings, you do that by pressing escape. We'll go through that in a second. And importantly, when hovering over something, I try my best to always explain what it does. So you should never really have to go to the tracker main page ultimately and look things up there. This video will also be linked in the tracker main page, right under the template section, template editor. Oops, I deleted too much there. So if you scroll down, there's a lot of stuff. You can see there's always these video guides. This is where this one will also be. And we have the template editor. And this very video will also be here somewhere So you can always look it up, because we're mainly going to talk about the manual layout stuff today. And yeah, one thing I kind of left out intentionally, that was, you can also hit escape again to get rid of that, or hit the X, whatever, is the toggle layout, which we have down here, going from manual layout, or like, this is the automatic layout, and if you turn it on, it's the manual layout. There's not much difference in this here, it just kind of removes these sections. So yeah, we can close this. You can see there's like an advancement section that tells you exactly how many advancements, how many criteria are in this section. You have these for the statistics as well. These you can like manually check off. And you have the multi-stage goals, which complete in multiple stages, right? And if we switch back to the manual layout, and this is a new thing with this update, these sections disappear. And it's kind of this free mode now. Everything still behaves the same because we haven't defined any positioning. I first recommend going into tracker visuals, so pressing escape, tracker visuals, and then selecting this. You will always have to hit apply settings down here, or just press enter. And now what we've basically done is it will show completed goals as well. Instead of them getting removed, it will show them as well. I think this is ultimately a better setting to use for what we're going to go for. You can also toggle always on top. For all the streamers, just enable the overlay, hit enter, and you'll have the overlay that you can chroma key. It's very important that you have to use the game capture. On Windows, you must use game capture. Otherwise, if you play Minecraft on full screen, your mouse is going to be invisible. This tracker is a lot newer with its entire rendering system than the AA tool. AA tool doesn't have this issue, but here, with how it's set up, you'll use game capture, not window capture, game capture on Windows for this overlay. Obviously, you can define the speeds right here. Overlay scroll speed, this is something more specific. You can also toggle that the third row actually hides its goals. Some people like that, then it cleans up completely. And there's also a screen at the very end once you have a completed run that shows like supporters and stuff. Right. You can also define like spacing of certain rows. If you want to do that, you can, yeah, define that here. But I'm just gonna say reset to defaults and go back, enabling the overlay. Bam. Right. So there's a lot you can go through, but that's not the topic now. What we need, I have it set to track automatic, or like auto track active instance, meaning all we're going to talk about, especially with the manual layout, will only work if a saves folder is tracked. Like if I were to close this, Advancedly is going to notice there's no saves folder currently being tracked. So with a lot of stuff in this tracker, you need to make sure there's a saves folder being tracked. Otherwise, you might run into issues. And therefore, make sure to open up a 1.16 instance. The first option basically does the app data path, where Minecraft is installed by default. You can obviously set a fixed world, which you have to put the path to the specific world file. And then you can also track a specific world saves path, or like a specific saves path, in which it just detects the most recent save and jumps to that. This fixes on a world, but usually the active instance is what you want to go for. Just make sure you are fully... Oh, I crashed. You are fully... yeah, using Minecraft, having it open, and then tracking the active instance. Right, because with the track active instance, you could have multiple Minecrafts open, and it will actually detect automatically which one is the most recently modified. I'm going to go back into the world, it automatically tracks that world, and now things get crazy. Through ModCheck, you can obviously find all of this, but you will need Hermes Core and Hermes for this to work. And once you have these two mods installed in the 1.16 instance, you can activate Hermes mod live tracking, and this now allows you to actually have the tracker live update. We're gonna get to the layouts in a second. Let's move this a little bit. Go back to this layout. I think the most interesting to look at is maybe the gold blocks picked up stat. So now we have live tracking enabled. On the overlay now, it says synced right here. Otherwise, it would say updated, meaning if this says synced, you have Hermes active. in the settings. And so I'm just going to say /give a p gold block 64. And now watch this gold block count right here. I'm going to pick up gold blocks. Boom. No pausing. Nothing required. It obviously works the same way for any kind of advancements. Let's do acquire hardware. /give a p iron ingots. Bam. It's immediately gone. I set it back, so we're going to do this mode again, so it stays visible. Right, we can do the same thing with diamonds. Diamond, bam. It immediately checks off. I don't have to do anything. And when I pause, that's when it synchronizes. So it will always synchronize with the main game files, regardless. And have that as a fallback if some issues occur. But everything fully live updates. Now we get to the most interesting part. Because this obviously doesn't look too great. And we now, since we have the manual layout, you can now, all advancements, you can keep that selected. And we have two layouts. The A tool optimized and the categorical. If it says has layout in the parentheses here, that's when you have to switch over to the manual layout. So click the manual layout here, and then you can select the A tool optimized. Just hit enter, and it immediately switches. The overlay looks pretty much the same. It still shows all 80 advancements, even though, like, the progress is still calculated all over all the advancements, even though here you only see a subset of the advancements that are actually relevant. So massive shout out to Seskio for making this template. Obviously now it says EA tool optimized here. You can change this name, just shorten it to all advancements. You can unlock it, hit enter, and then it just displays all advancements. Right? And now you have this layout that doesn't rearrange or do anything weird. We can just say, what's a nice one? Give it p dragon egg or something. Give it p dragon egg. Boom. And immediately this completes. None of these, even though there's like check marks somewhere, these don't have to be manually checked off. You can, but there is now a more complex system behind it that these automatically complete based off of other goals. For example, if I do /advancement grant at p, I think only Minecraft Nether beacon something, create full beacon, bam. With Beaconator, the gold block statistic automatically completes. It would also complete if you hit the 164, but that might not always happen. This just tracks the gold blocks picked up. So usually it does happen, but it might not always happen. And so you have everything fully live, nothing you have to manually worry about. It will fully automatically complete. This is crazy. And then we also have this categorical template, which is way, way, way more complex and basically segments the individual parts of a run into like categories. We have everything that's related to the early game, overworld stuff, village stuff with the cats. Only the black cat is in the swamp. Then we have ocean, mushroom island, summary stuff. Everything completes automatically. Different biomes, everything with the nether, certain ingredients as well. And what is special about this one here, this utilizes the new counter goals that now have the option to basically track how many of a certain set of goals are completed. And the overlay is also fully custom. It is, again, it tracks the full progress on all 80 advancements, but you can now see the progress on individual sections. This is huge. You could theoretically also use the search for early game, and everything in the early game shows up. Search for swamp, everything in the swamp shows up. So there's a lot going into this template specifically as well. Shout out to Scrambled for making this one. This is really, really important. We do have another template that Emis made for 1.11 that utilizes arrows that have a special completion system. I will dive into that in a second. Or actually, let's do that now real quick. So this is already all you need to know to make use of Advancedly, especially with the 1.16 templates. Just make sure that all advancements selected here. You choose one of the two layouts. I like the categorical so much. And then you have to be on the manual layout, because otherwise it will just fall back to this automatic layout. And I mean, this is still usable, right? You can still search for nether, and everything nether related will show up here. But obviously the manual layout is what we want here. So this is basically the most important stuff. And now if you want to go further, and this is where it gets insane, you can open up the settings, go to path and templates, and then hit edit templates, which is the heart and core of Advancedly, this template editor. Let's first go through 1.16, and I'll immediately jump into the categorical template here. Let's just full screen this for a second and make sure you guys can see all of this. Obviously, you can make all of these windows bigger. You can also change the font size and stuff, but that doesn't matter. We're going to go into edit template up here, and you can see there's a visual layout editor. This button is only available if it's currently tracking a save. So this warning up, like if it's tracking a save and this warning up here isn't there. And it also only is available if the template that you have selected here is the same one that you have selected here. Make sure to select it, apply settings. Then you can go into the visual layout editor. Just click that. And what this does now, it puts you in an editor mode where you can now drag select certain things and move them around. It will immediately detect what you're moving and show you within the template editor what you're moving. You can obviously revert the changes and go back. This is incredible. It will show you the coordinates and everything. When you hover over it, you can obviously independently hide certain things. And if you select the zombie here, for example, it will immediately scroll to the zombie. And if we, for whatever reason, want to hide that as well, it will disappear, but only if you're in the hide all completed mode here. Boom, you have to stop the visual layout editor to be able to apply settings, and then it's fully gone. If you're on this, then it will also be fully gone, but completed stuff will be grayed out, basically. So let's bring the icon back. Boom. On the show all, everything will show. So you mainly want to play on the hide template. This basically makes everything that you've completed fully invisible, and this makes it either like transparent, or these goals will kind of get golden, right? Or this half completed stage. So just select this. When you're in the visual layout editor, it will always switch you to the show all. That's like very important. So yeah, in the visual layout editor, we could drag things around. I'm not going to mess with anything too much here, but it's very, very straightforward. You can also, if you're in here, press Control-C, it will revert it. And you can also use Control. And if you hold down Control, you can multi-select different things and move them all at once, separately. It is super, super thought out and awesome. And obviously, every single element here you can fully customize. And now we get to the crazy thing. And I've just selected a header right here. Let's go to the nether one. Maybe right here. So this is the nether header. You can see this is the display text of the nether. And the header, for example, can have goals linked to it. So you click select here. You can also range select with shift or deselect. And then you select goals that are linked to the nether. So basically what I've done here is everything that is within this nether section right here is linked to the header. And that is why the search filtered, when we search for nether, why the search filtered for this section specifically. Obviously, you can press escape or enter to select. I'm going to just press escape. So that is with headers. Really, really cool stuff. Obviously, text headers can also just be plain text. You don't have to link any goals. We also have all these lines, which you can configure as like thickness. Which line is this? This one right here. It will automatically update as you go. You can make the lines really thick and change their opacity right here. That is so awesome. We revert that. And obviously, for the lines, you always have two separate endpoints. And that you can kind of select here. So this is the endpoint. The endpoints are kind of coming together here. But that is fine. And you can kind of just drag the endpoint wherever you want to go. Or you can even hide the endpoint, but obviously that doesn't do much for lines. Right, super awesome stuff. Let's just revert that. It doesn't matter. I'm in a test environment, so I can mess things up here. Now, that's one thing. And now if we go back to the 1.11 template, I can show another thing. Oh no, one more thing I want to show here is the counter goals, which are new goals that are incredibly useful, especially for a template like this. You can see we have the early game right here, which actually has 21 things listed here. Obviously, the search also has counters and decorations all set up there. Oh yeah, one thing also in the select goal, you can also filter for advancements, and then it will also only show everything that's in advancement. You can filter for stats, and it will show everything in stats. It will filter for multi-stage goals. You can't link counters to counters. Counters can only be linked to lines or text headers. There's no recursion linking them to themselves. But basically, you can link goals to the counter the same way as with headers. Interesting. It really gets interesting now, because previously in the previous Advanced update, you'd have to manually check off these goals. Obviously, in the visual layout editor, you can't put the checkbox, but now we can. And yeah, checking this off manually, a lot of runners forget to do so, which understandably so. It is something that you usually don't have to worry about. Meaning, for the gold blocks, for example, you can now set autocomplete goals, which in this case, I've already showed this, the create full beacon is linked here. This is the advancement. Everything here, like, it has to be within the template to show up here, obviously. It searched through everything within the template. And yeah, this is huge. Also, we have one custom goal. You could theoretically, and this is where it gets interesting, you can link stats to custom goals, and custom goals can be linked back to the same stats. You could also just make chains of goals that are linked to each other that are 32 long. I've intentionally made it that way. You could go crazy on how far you can link these. It also says that here, chains of linked goals fail beyond a depth of 32. So 33, it will not, like if this is completed, 33 back, it will fail to complete. Right. Very awesome. And right here, we basically have a toggle between and or. All it does is basically, if there's multiple goals, either all of them have to be completed or at least one. Right? That's what that does. Also, everything that is in the second row, this in this case only affects advancements, you could move advancements into the third row on the overlay. That's a new setting as well. It just shifts it down and then applies all the hiding settings for the third row. But that is overlay specific. Also, the difference between hidden and these hide buttons is very simple. The hidden affects the non-manual layout and the overlay. And so, for example, if we have upgrade right here, if I hide it, it is gone. Boom. But in the manual layouts, the upgrades is not affected by this. You have to use the position-based hiding, because then you can hide both of the things individually, right? You can hide the text or both, whatever you desire. So that's the difference here, and hidden here also hides it from the overlay. The point is that you have goals that don't display, but still count towards the progress right here. That is the main point of all this hiding stuff, right? I'm always pressing enter to save. And also for stats, yeah, you have this and or. We have one custom goal that is the shulker transport that gets automatically completed when, that's right here, that gets automatically completed when how to get here is achieved. You also have this and or. But as I said, you could link the custom goal to a stat. So let's just do leads, for example. A stat can always be auto-completed. So now if we say it's either or, so we're going to set this to or, and I'm now going to complete the leads one right there. Watch what happens with the Schalke transport. Bang. It gets completed. Because we are in this or, it was enough that one of the goals is completed. Right? If we set this to and, it's going to get incomplete because how to get here is missing. So really, really important. And obviously you can just remove it like that. Everything gets detected as a change. So you can also revert stuff like that. Super, super awesome. So that goes through the goal types. For Craftmine, just an April Fool's stuff. It would also respect the unlocks system. I've kept that consistent. These are things you can automatically check off, or like manually check off, or can also be automatically done. For example, if we go to the stats, this is a stat, or more specifically a stats category, fortress right here, because the stats can also be grouped. And the fortress one hides when how to get here, the dragon respawn, and all the netherite stuff, including the lodestone, is done. Right? Super, super awesome. And that concludes basically this awesome categorical template and everything alongside it. I'm going to go now over to the 111 template to show the last thing, that is the arrows. Let's go 111. This template is in 111, but you can obviously set your version to 111 too, because that's probably what most people use. So this version right here is the important version that decides the core functionality behind the tracker. But this is the version that actually displays here as progress. Also, on top of the title bar right here, or the overlay, you can see it 111.2 there. So this is purely just for display. Same thing with the display category. Other stuff has functionality. There's also these different language files. For all achievements, there's no other languages. For the all advancements, you can also see that here. There's always a German and a Chinese translation. However, the Chinese translation requires a specific other font file that is in the fonts folder. It's called Hans CN something. You'll find it if you need it. It's also mentioned on the tracker page. Right here, I want to now quickly go over to the arrows. So we're going to select it, hit edit template. And in decorations, you can now see there's a lot of these arrows. The main idea behind the arrows is, if we actually go to hide completed, and I'm now going to open up a 111 instance. Let's quickly go 111.2. Been testing on everything. Like all the versions ready. Yeah, the tracker automatically updates already. Again, this tracker works for any version. All the way up to 26.2 already. And 1.0, everything. The ID system. 1.12 is a bit of an exception with hybrid stuff and things. Let's get the music down. If I go in here, right? You can now see... Actually, let's make a new world. I think that's more interesting. Allow cheats. Done. Survival. Yes. It immediately updates. Bam. There you can go. And we have 34 achievements to go. Right? For whatever reason, it doesn't load my skin here. But the point is now with the arrows, if we do taking inventory, I'm going to open up my inventory. Inventory got. Boom. This disappears. The arrow lights up. And now it points towards getting wood. So the arrow basically, the starting goal made the arrow go brighter. Okay, music still plays. Whatever, we'll just enjoy it. Then I got getting wood. Here, obviously, we don't have Hermes, so I have to pause again. And now both the arrow and that disappeared. And then this arrow lit up. So we have this kind of progression system. Obviously, if you go back to this setting, or the other one, it doesn't matter, this all still shows up. Basically, you can kind of see where your progression is with the arrows lighting up. That was the idea when I implemented them. And similar to the other stuff, we open up the template editor. you basically can define an arrow thickness. So let's look at this arrow, like this arrow right here. We can make it thicker, just the main line of it. And you can also adjust the arrowhead size. There you go. And both of these points, oh, I just saved that. Both of these points, so the arrow tip, the end of it, or you can drag the entire arrow. Right? So everything is fully customizable. And the crazy thing about arrows is, and this might be a little useless, but you can see it's been used here actually. You can add bend points. So if I drag this, you can see there's a bend added. You can separately adjust. We can add another bend. And then it will be somewhere in between here, somewhere in between the bend and the arrow, tip, and we have another bend. We can add up to 16 bends. I've gone absolutely crazy on this. Yeah, and that's how you can drag it. And then you have the goals I've already showed. You select here, you can only select one thing. You select the start goal, which is then tied to the opacity after. So basically, you have the opacity before, which is set to 0.6. And then if the start goal is completed, it jumps up to 0.95, which is the opacity after. And with the end goal, that's when the arrow gets removed. So before the start goal, it's the opacity before. After the start goal, it's the opacity after. And then with the end goal, the arrow disappears. But the arrow disappears only in the very first hiding mode, because otherwise it stays visible the way it works. And that concludes the arrows as well. Obviously, everything else kind of applies the same way. You can drag stuff around. You can select things and drag all those. And revert all these changes now. Super awesome stuff. Obviously, while the visual layout editor is active, you cannot like cancel anything. There's no X here. You cannot apply any settings or restart advancedly. There is a warning that I've added if I exit now. Oh, it actually did exit because there weren't any unsaved changes. But the point is that, let's exit this. If you have, let's say, you go into the template editor, all achievements, you rename something, you have unsaved changes shown by this revert changes button. And you also change something in the template editor, like the settings. Now we have unsaved changes in the settings and the template editor. If we try to exit, it will tell us, hey, so either in the settings, either in the template editor, or in both, we have unsaved changes, exit without saving, or going back. So we can revert that, and then you can exit normally. So that's how that works. And obviously, to see this, you always have to go into the manual layout here. Otherwise, it will fall back to the regular automatic layout, which is ordered the exact way that it is here. Also, the order in this list here is the order things appear on the overlay. Depending on the scroll direction, basically you can change the scroll direction if you go into the overlay settings and you set this number to a negative value. It will go the other way, and now all the icons and all the goals are flipped. So the goals always appear in the same order as they are on template. Right? That's how that works. Same thing with the criteria. Super huge. And also here, for all the templates now that are official, you always have stats linked to certain other goals. You can also link it to multi-stage goals, for example. Multi-stage goals. We have linked it to stage 4, which is crafting the beacon. That's when the Wither Skeletons get completed. That's when this goal gets automatically completed. But obviously, you can just click it and check it off as well. That updates the progress. Super awesome. I think that concludes mostly everything that I want to show here from this 1.3.0 update. And yeah, we have both these layouts, the automatic dragging, the very amazing goal linking, the different headers, line, header, arrow, different decorations, I mean. Then we have obviously the arrows. I've made a 16 bend arrow in one of my test templates. Right. Updated some textures, not too important. We have the amazing Seskio template. We have the golden dandelion is now available as a texture file. And this warning as well. Fix some other issues with 121. Those are not too important. Just some renaming of the How to Get Here multi-stage goal stage. The very last stage often was still called final. I think the same with the sniffer. Or just naming oversight. But that's it right there. I really, really hope that this will get runners over. So again, just press escape, select 116, and go into select Hermes if you have Hermes Core and Hermes installed, which I highly recommend for 116. It's fully legal now. Advancedly is allowed to read from the live file. And then you choose either categorical. Make sure you have the manual layout set. You can also see there are some placeholder goals because I'm on a different hiding mode. Those obviously you don't want to see. We're going to go here, then the template hidden ones go away. And then we go into the manual layout. This is all you need. I recommend being on this or this hiding mode. Technically, between these two right now, there's no difference. But it's easier to just only think about those two. And if you want to have the other template, just select it here. If it says the has layout, that's the signal for, okay, I got to turn on the manual layout. It says that in the tooltip here as well. Templates marked with has layout include predefined positions for goals. So it puts the has layout either if there's like a direct decoration, so an arrow, a line, or a header, there's at least one, or if there is any manual position defined. So if there's any position value anywhere, then it puts the has layout there as well. So as soon as something has been tampered with in the manual layout, it will put that here. Not all templates have that yet. These are the ones we have, and this is beautiful. I'm sure this is a layout that you guys are very, very familiar with, so give it a try. Especially with Hermes live tracking, this is so absolutely amazing. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to link this on the tracker main page under the template section. And with that said, guys, enjoy version 1.3.0. Next big update I'm working on is freaking co-op mode. It's going to be a huge one. Small little break, but then I'm going to start working on that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys very, very soon. Bye-bye!